In my last video, I talked about my top 7 anime of all time. I also asked you guys to vote on which video I should do next, and the winner was Mob Psycho. I don't know why I did that. Mob Psycho 100. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below what you'd like to see next. With all that out of the way, let's get right into this video. Mob Psycho 100 is filled to the brim with some amazing and not so amazing content. One of the amazing things about the show is the characters and the unique way they interact with each other. One of the more forgettable character groups is the Telepathy Club, but fortunately, they do serve the purpose of being the medium in which we learn about the Body Improvement Club. The Body Improvement Club is one of the aspects of the show that highlights how amazing the character development is. When you see these 5 Chad lads, you think, okay, I've seen this before. Here's the muscle-bound jerks that are the catalyst for Mob to use his powers against regular people. But that's not what they are. The Body Improvement Club is the perfect example of how the writing in the show is so unique. These are just 5 guys constantly trying to, well, improve their bodies. They have no more ulterior motives than just that, and they wholeheartedly accept Mob into their group without any hesitation, because at the end of the day, he is just like them, except at a different stage in the body improvement life cycle. This is also the perfect time to talk about Mob and what makes him a completely unique protagonist. I don't know about you, but if you gave me psychic powers at the level Mob has, I would be dictator of the world by the time dinner came around. But Mob is different. Mob has no desire to be anything except normal. He wants normal kid stuff and he dreams normal kid dreams. He is envious of his little brother who doesn't have psychic powers because he's strong, smart, and popular. Let me reiterate that. Mob, a kid who could literally take over the entire world, is jealous because his younger brother is getting good grades and being popular in middle school. A cool aspect of Mob's character that is ever present in the show is the percentage gauge that is constantly getting higher, which is a literal representation of when he'll have a mental breakdown and totally lose control of himself and his abilities. You see, Mob doesn't normally express emotions, however when he reaches 100% of capacity to hold his emotions or his stress level, I'm not really sure. But whenever he reaches 100% of whatever that is, whatever emotion he is feeling at the time expresses itself in the form of his psychic powers. This is an awesome tool that adds a level of excitement to everyday scenes and is also an amazing metaphor for what can happen if someone bottles up stress and emotions. This is also what makes Mob's brother Ritsu such an authentic and relatable support character. Ritsu is the only other person that truly understands what happens when Mob loses control. But even further, he understands why it happens. Throughout the show, Ritsu will regularly check up on Mob and tell him he's always there to talk if he needs him. Ritsu understands that if Mob doesn't let out some stress and talk about his problems, then he will get to 100% and lose control. Ritsu is also relatable because just as Mob is jealous of him for being normal, he's jealous of Mob for his incredible abilities as anybody in his position would be. Speaking of support characters, Reigen is another masterclass example in character writing. He's not 100% good or 100% evil. He both seeks to use Mob for his financial and personal gain and to nurture him into being a morally good person who doesn't think of himself as better or worse than anybody else, despite clearly being more powerful than almost anybody on Earth. He takes advantage of Mob's naivety, yet still tries to guide him towards being the best version of himself that he can. Reigen is not a two-dimensional character in any respect, and is another character in this show that deserves a whole video to himself. Now you cannot talk about Mob Psycho 100 without talking about the beautiful animation, which if you haven't noticed yet, I am really a big fan of. I specifically like the way the animation team chose to illustrate psychic powers. I'm sure the team had a ton of choices as far as how they could go about this, and I feel like they could not have done a better job than they did. Speaking of the team, Bones was the perfect animation studio to take on the challenge of bringing the show to life. With other anime like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, My Hero Academia, and the one that looks closest to Mob Psycho 100, Space Dandy, I shouldn't be surprised the anime turned out as good as it did, but I am. This show feels like the kind of show that you hope turns out great because of the concept, but ultimately falls short due to less than perfect execution. This is not the case with Mob Psycho 100. The team at Bones clearly poured a lot of money, time, and love into making sure this anime lives up to its premise and isn't hindered in any way by a lack of polish in the animation or pacing. Pacing is another area that I'm really sensitive to, but Mob Psycho 100 again knocks this one out of the park. The anime mostly stays true to the manga, with only a few areas being changed, and in my opinion for the better. Mob Psycho 100 also excels at the crazy over-the-top fight scenes. In a show that presents very little in terms of hand-to-hand combat, I was expecting something pretty different from your traditional fight scenes in anime, and I was more than satisfied with what the show provided. Every time there's a fight scene in this show, you get a really good sense for just how powerful the attacks are. The landscape is heavily involved and influenced by the actions of the people fighting. People use the environment as weapons, sure, but I'm mostly talking about the way the landscape is so devastated during and after an intense battle. Nobody simply gets slammed into a wall. They create a crater in the wall or simply fly through it altogether. The visuals in the fight scenes, like everywhere else in this show, are stunning. All of the bright colors being thrown at you at once really lend to the chaotic feel of the fight scenes and really illustrates how crazy a psychic battle between two powerful teenagers would be. I was trying to rack my brain to find some negative aspects of the animation, but honestly I feel like I'd be lying if I made up some contrived thing that I didn't like. One thing about the show that is a negative, however, was how the first half or so of season 1 lacked a good hook at the end of each episode to keep me wanting more. The argument could be made that what kept you wanting more was less of a hook and more of a love for the story and the characters that were being developed, but I think they could have done a better job at this respect. Hooks are important in new anime because they keep an audience wanting more in spite of the fact that the characters haven't had the necessary time to develop. For example, at this part in the story, I do not need a hook at the end of every chapter of One Piece to keep me coming back, because the characters are so fleshed out that I would come back purely just to spend more time with them. Also, it struggles with some of the villains being really forgettable, but much like One Punch Man, which is by the same mangaka, I think this is largely by design. Overall, my opinion of Mob Psycho 100 is obviously overwhelmingly positive. It has the same lovable feel as One Punch Man, but with deeper characters. The fight scenes are akin to Demon Slayer, but somehow even more vibrant and chaotic, and it tackles aspects of mental health like Naruto, but manages to make it feel more relatable and rewarding. Mob Psycho 100 may not be perfect, but it is in my top 3 for a reason. If you haven't yet, give it a try. There is something for everybody, no matter your age, your gender, or your taste in anime. You will likely leave happy knowing you got to spend a little time with Shigeo, Mob, Kageyama, and all of the other characters that make this show a cut above the rest. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you've made it this far, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And by comment, I mean tell me what you really want to see next. I have a few ideas in the chamber, but obviously I'd rather, do what y'all want to do versus what I want to do. Today's comment of the week comes from Swinunu. I think that's how you pronounce her name, but she's always super supportive of my videos. She always likes them, she always comments on them, and she was one of my first subscribers, so she really helps me out by doing all those things, and that leads me to say I really appreciate everybody who subscribed. I didn't think that after a month of doing this that I'd have almost 50 subscribers. I honestly thought that I'd have 10 subscribers for a whole year, and I didn't care. I was going to do it either way, but I'm really thankful for everybody who subscribed. Thanks to all the new subscribers that came from Reddit. Oh, and I almost forgot to say, if you want to be on the next video as the shout-out of the week from the comment section, go ahead and comment something down below. It can be funny, mean, happy, supportive, whatever you want to comment. Just something that'll catch my eye, and I'll shout you out on the next video. But that's really all I have to say, so I'll see you guys next Sunday. This is Tyler Doe, signing out.